what's your problem with that though?
That's what I think about when I think of.
Cut it.
Why did you feel the need to say that?
You don't know what this person is going through.
But he has to know.
Okay,
The outdoor message on it.
Okay.
That's such a funny story that you remind me of. Now we bought it.
Okay, so the question of the day is, do you believe that homosexuality is a choice? Have you noticed a difference with how homosexuality is perceived in the Caribbean versus Canada?
Yes.
Okay, that's super great.
To which part?
Wait, yeah. So
I
which
mean,
part?
the first part of the question
important
asks,
question.
like, is homosexuality a choice? Okay.
No.
I'm just gonna sit over here on that one.
Your talk before me, I was kicking it off, but that's the stupidest shit ever in my life.
I meant yes to the second part. What was the second part? If it changed.
Has your like view of it changed versus like at home to the Caribbean?
I'll let you guys answer the first part. But no, I don't think it's a choice because
In recent times, I feel like it's a choice because it seems like being gay or queer, or I'm just being honest. Like I feel like being gay or queer or not straight is like the thing to be now. Like everybody is bi-curious all of a sudden. I don't know if that's just I don't know if it's because it's become more like acceptable that more people are coming out or experimenting with their sexuality. But I feel like as of recently, there's been a lot more like sexual experimentation between everybody, so I feel like it's more of a choice now. But like back then when being gay was like really a struggle, I wouldn't say it was a choice, because who chooses to live like to have their life be so hard, you know? Because back then being gay was like, why would you want to put
so they're
that
choosing
type
it now?
No.
I'm saying now it's more of a fad, like a trend.
I think there's something to distinguish with what she's saying. The
Like,
difference
people are more open
between
with it, I guess.
like actually being gay or curious or whatever, and then having sexual experiences.
Yeah, okay.
So
Maybe
I think
he's
what
saying
she's
that
really
better
referring to
than
is that
me.
a lot of people now are more open to having sexual experiences with the same partner. And
The question was about being gay.
Okay, maybe
Right?
I went off. Like if we distinguishing between being like bi-curious or like experimenting with the other sex and actually being gay, as in I prefer somebody of the same sex, then yeah. Then we can, if we making that distinction, then no, being gay is not a choice.
A choice. I don't think I could wake up. Let me don't say me. I don't think somebody else could just wake up and decide, yeah, I think I'm gonna just dibble and dabble in some dick today. Like a man. Like I love women. I've always loved women, but let me just dibble and dabble. Like, you get what I mean? Like, there has to be some kind of attraction in the first place for them to want to be with somebody. I don't think... Okay, and I guess what you're saying from before too, where they were ridiculed and all these things. People are still ridiculed to this day. People are not making that choice to be ridiculed, technically. I don't think...
That's why I was saying back then, it was harder to be gay because... of whatever.
It's like, still hard to this day.
When you say hard though, like it isn't as hard as it was back then. Like we have the whole LGBTQ movement, LGBTQ.
We have the but then we also have the Black Lives Matter movement. So does that mean that as Black people we don't have struggles?
No, and that's what I was about to get on that too as well. Like just because I'm not saying just because things were better, that means that all problems are solved. I'm just saying it's better. I'm saying like yes, we still have troubles as Black people, but we now have the right to vote. There have been progressions.
I feel like what we're trying to say is that now, not necessarily that the physical thing is a choice, but to be visible with it is the choice.
Yes.
Right? There's a lot more people who are choosing to be more there's a lot more people who are choosing to be more visible with it and to project that as like a physical part of their personality as opposed to just being something on the side, you know? So I feel like that's where you're going with that. I understand what you're saying.
But I think to get back to the original point, one, I don't think it's a choice. And looking at it from being back home towards coming here, I think growing up, we all know the terms like, you see somebody like, what a man's anti-man, boy. And so batty, boy.
I don't know, like, yeah.
You know how people...
Yeah, we know how people
I know, like, because you know, how like it's the older generation. No, but that's how it was. Like, and especially like with the older generation, they'll be like sitting down and like by like it. Well, I don't know. You okay, sis?
You okay? Go ahead. Why is it so funny? I don't understand.
What's
I don't
happening?
understand.
What's going on?
Just that word,
She's the man. Batty boy.
It's the way he says it.
I don't know.
I'm
but-
not saying that being a batty boy is funny. It's just that word.
It's just
and the way
a
he
word.
said it. I am not homophobic. I'm sorry.
Kill you on Twitter.
She's like, don't roast me,
Boy,
please.
on Twitter, they go,
Yo, she's
When y'all see
crying.
this shit, please. I just, it was very funny. His
She's
accent.
crying.
Now you can be the crowd favorite.
I don't know.
Shout out to Denise finish.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, like you know how the older generation, like, cause I don't know, like growing up in the Caribbean, you didn't really see many gay men, to be honest. And like we had like one or two, like you know, and they'll like pass by like the little shops by on the side of the road, and then your little old women used to sit down outside, be like, oh, me say is a bula, blah 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 blah, and you're like. And as a young child, you're like, what the hell is that? What is a bula? And like your parents did not want to explain it to you because like they're like, should I even like, how can I explain this to a child? Because even like our generation of parents, like my mom is a very open person. I've said this many times, but even like our generation of parents, like they're like, they're not the most accepting out there. So like they don't want to explain it to you as a child, and you're as a child you're a curious person, so you're going to be finding out from like media outlets like your friends and everything, and then finding out about it like that way is still not the best way to learn about it either, because as children we're dumb as hell, so we're not going to explain it the best, and we're not going to be the most accepting of it, and we're bullies.
And I feel like what
So-
that... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, that was it.
I feel like what that does though also is that when that happens, when they don't want to explain it, so what happens is all you know is a term, and then you see back, especially like before when there wasn't more visible people with it, all you see is a very hyper visible people. Like in Antigua, that would be who? And what the next one name again?
He's like, oh.
No, but like
Whoever,
I
y'all
don't
know
know.
who it
Yeah,
is, but
yeah.
there's, you know, there's always like hyper visible. Well, I chill. But there's always like hyper visible people in every place that everyone knows about, right? And so when you don't explain it to them, then it's like all you hear is a term being tossed around whenever that hyper visible person passes by. And not to say that it's always the case, but sometimes that hyper visible person is only... Back then, a lot of them only had the confidence to do so with the aid of other substances or whatever situation, right? And so they're not necessarily the best representation for that. And then that idea that you form in your head surrounding that word gets transferred to anyone who has the same persuasion, but is not of the same character.
That's the
thing I was
thing.
thinking to say too. It's just like back home, especially we used to always call them like can we say the word anti-man, right? Basically, we used to call
Let's just
That
disclose
was
this
my-
thing is for educational purposes.
any man who was basically feminine or not as masculine as society would have them to be. So it's just like then when you see a man who's not as masculine, not only beating up women or whatever, if he he shows emotions or whatever, then automatically they consider him an anti-man, right? So for me coming to Canada now, when I saw more, well, what is the word? More feminine men, I guess is the word. More softer men who are in touch with their feelings and all these things. When I saw these people, remember my first year, I would consider these people, oh, he's an anti-man or whatever. And then somebody had to pull me up on it. Somebody had to be like, what are you calling the guy? I was just like, is he not gay? Like, how is he gay because he's not as masculine as you want him to be? And it was that one conversation that kind of got me thinking, like, this don't make no kind of sense. Like, I don't know this guy's personal life. I don't know who he having sex with or what he's doing with his body. So how can I assume that he's gay because of how he's look or how he's acting or whatever?
What was your term for a gay person back in your country?
A bula.
You're well aware now.
What do y'all call it?
A bula.
Bula?
Bula.
Bula, okay. And what we used to call them? Sissies? Just sissy?
For the most part, that's it.
That's such a flap term. I'm sorry.
Like, y'all weren't creative at all.
That's the bottom.
Right? I'm sorry we didn't come for that one. Yeah, so back
Go
on.
our way to oppress the homosexual community.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But no.
But I feel like what you're referring to is that what Willem was talking about, that aspect of them being gay becomes like their entire identity. And so whenever they're referred to them, it's not like, oh, this is Jeremy or whatever. It's like, oh, that's the anti-man boy from
Yes.
so
That's
and
the
so
thing.
far.
Yes.
Dehumanizes them. It's so
Yes.
dehumanizing.
Because like
Yes.
Willem is saying, like the ones that you see back home, because like I feel like, okay, they feel like they need to like show out and show off,
Yeah.
so they're like very, very hyper feminine, and then that's what, like growing up, that's what I associated gay men to be, like extremely feminine men, because they'll go around, they're walking with the sway of the hips and everything, with the makeup on and all of that at home, and you're like, wow, okay, this is what a gay man is supposed to look like. It's when I came to Canada and I realized, okay, cool, not all gay men are like this. Like I should probably put that in
Did
the
we-
corner.
Did we really have those people like back home? Like, okay, when we
Yes.
were younger, I
Yes.
don't think that.
Not like makeup and that kind
Yeah.
of thing, but
We
it was
definitely
but,
had it back
but we
home.
would always know the people.
Yes,
We'd always know the
exactly.
people who would look like that. And the thing for me is like coming here and it's like being exposed to a lot more of them. Like, and seeing that normalized, like in my mind, like I still hear the is that in the back of my
still
mind,
hear it.
but I
Yeah.
don't really like care about it. But the one thing is that it's still conflicted on is that when you're out and you know you hear boom bye bye, everybody beating the walls.
And it's
It's
like
just
you know you
like-
shouldn't say,
it's like-
But it's
But
such a
like-
catchy tune.
It's a catchy song, but
No,
you
but-
That's how it
know.
is. Like back home, no. Like back home, you singing that with your whole chest out and whatever. But like over here, you would see the gay people listening to it too. And I'm like,
Are you being
Because
exactly-
they half of them don't know what it
You know,
is.
when me and my friends,
I'm like-
sometime that song play in the
Yes.
club, we in the center of the floor singing it. So
I'm like, Chichi man, and I'm like, what is going on? So back home, no. Like I was about to say, like I don't know if it's. Well, I guess you can say so. Like the reason why there's such a big problem with gay people back home is because of the whole. I guess it's because of Christianity. Like we believe that man and man ain't supposed to be together, or woman and woman ain't supposed to be together. So that's why it's this big push
Actually.
to like throw them
Willem
aside or
can
whatever.
educate you on it. He
No, I
educated me a
waiting to
couple
hear
of
it.
weeks
It's just like saying, I'm
ago.
trying to explain like what it is back home. I'm trying to figure out basically what it is back home, that why we are so in the Caribbean, why we so anti-gay. Like we just don't believe that man and man should lay up with each other, women and women shouldn't lay up with each other. Like, or is it Christianity? Like what did gay people do to?
in short,
Yeah.
slavery.
Thank you.
In short, slavery, and I will tell you why. So there was a process there was something called buck breaking, right? Buck breaking was a way to emasculate black men that were owned by whatever slaves, right? And what would happen was the white slaves would take them, and in order to strip them of any pride and you know, basically pride, whatever that they had in themselves, they would either force themselves sexually on the people, or they would force other men to have sexual relations with them in front of their family, in front of their peers, and so on and so forth. And so from that attitude gets carried on, because that is that there's no other. I shouldn't say there's no other, but that is one of the. For me, I can't think of anything worse, really, right?
Than being forced.
Than being raped by somebody in front of your family, right? Like, so of course that attitude is gonna get carried down, and then of course that gets doubly enforced because it's a very old sector of Christianity that we tend to follow in the Caribbean, and that just carries that same. And also, we don't like change, boy.
No.
So we carry that same old Christianity
Talk.
with us all the way along, and so that's why it's so difficult to change that attitude.
Yeah.
Because over here it's way more accepting, like the whole LGBTQ plus movement. Like you've since being here, like I am so desensitized to this now that it's like back home you're like, oh, that's the babe over there, that's the one who gay or whatever. But over here it's like
Because they're just
on-
people living
Yeah,
their
and
lives.
It's
like-
sad that we had to wait until we move
Yes.
over here to realize that these people are literally just other people. Like,
It's not that
Don't
like
say
we
we.
had to move over.
when I say we, I mean Caribbeans. I'm not specifically
Yeah.
pointing anybody out, but
Yeah.
Caribbean people as a society as a whole is very homophobic.
Yes.
So I'm not gonna.
It's not
brush-
like it's the
I'm not gonna
moving
brush
that's
that aside.
causing us to like change Well, yeah, it's the moving, but also it's just that back home in the Caribbean, like we don't have the opportunity to like open up to more things.
So you don't see them. There's no exposure.
Exactly. So we just don't have the opportunity to like see and experience everything because back home, because like of the whole like stigma against it, like no one really wants to come out of the closet and say like, hey, like, or come out to their parents especially and say like, hey, this is who I am. I remember one time I told my mother I was probably like 11 or 12 and I asked, I was like, Mommy, what would you do if I was a lesbian? She was like, I will beat it out of you. I was like, beat.
Heard that approach before. Heard that approach before.
And like I said, my mom was like, well, she's become a lot better now. And like I said, my mom is like one of the more accepting people out there. And she was like, I'll beat it out to you. And I remember I was like 11 or 12 because like I went to an all-girls school. So like a lot was happening behind closed doors.
Okay.
So like I was like, so you know, we're learning about it and we're finding about it. I was like, she was like, beat it out. So I was like, beat. My mother will beat me if I tell her this is who I am as a person. And I was like, my mother, the chillest woman I know, is gonna beat this out of me. Imagine someone else's parent. Like, nah. Stay in the closet. That's how it is back home. Like you have that fear. You don't want to be disowned. These are your own parents that are thinking this way. Even if you might have different thoughts, you might have to wait up until you you out of their roof, from under their roof, and then you're gonna decide to come out.
People also have this idea that, especially back in the Caribbean, that these homosexuals or whatever are promiscuous. They're promiscuous and all these things, or they break up homes, and but not realizing it's because we push them to be like,
what other option do they have?
Exactly.
They can't get married. They can't have no relationship.
Thank you. Exactly. They have to do these things. Oh, they're just secretive. They're people of the night. Like, which don't make no sense
But if
to
you
me.
see them in the day, what you can do?
Like, it's like, don't understand. We force these people to live this type of lifestyle and then judge them for living this lifestyle. And it's just like, I don't understand.
That's the thing. And like a lot of laws, like a lot of Caribbean islands have laws where it's illegal to be a homosexual. Like the laws state like, hey, if we find this out, we're going to jail you, we're going to flog you, blah, blah, blah. And it's also the same in a lot of African countries.
Caribbean countries?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like St. Lucia still has this law.
Barbados is live. Antigua's 25. I don't know about the rest of y'all.
Like
The
St.
other
Lucia.
Trinidad have
Like a lot of Caribbean countries still have these laws in place.
was bad, bro.
No.
I did not know.
People okay,
Like they're not really being enforced, but the thing is that they're still in place.
But what happens? What happens with those laws is even though they're not enforced, it prevents people from going to the law if anything happens.
Like I remember one time I read this article and they were like the worst countries to visit if you're like part of the community, and like St. Lucia was like number 3 on the list and everything, because a lot of like Caribbean countries and African countries that have these laws in place, but like a lot like Uganda and especially like they're actually enforcing these laws. They're enforcing these laws. They are flogging you. No,
we're all the problem.
I thought it was just Jamaica because you know, like they're the ones who are the most vocal about homosexuality and
because
like,
that's where buck-breaking mostly took place.
I did not know about that back breaking thing though, so I learned something.
Now,
new
before
today.
they say I ain't talk through this whole show and say
That's the one over there. That's him there.
But yeah, like I remember, like as kids, we just playing tag. They'd be like, the person with it, who's it? Like the guys be like, he's gay. Don't get touched by him. Dumb shit like that. Just dumb shit like that. And again, forcing you as a child growing up. But for me, like I believe homosexuality like isn't a choice. I remember it was a time I said that like to like a group of people and they clown me for that. Like they think I was stupid for saying that. And I just look at it like it's the same thing as I equate like your sexual preference to your taste. If you literally don't like a food, like something that you can't eat, like I can't you can't like you'd be sick if you eat it. I feel it's the same thing as you just trying to choose a sexuality you aren't interested in. Like you can't just force yourself to like something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so but I think like, well, no, I'll let you finish.
I'm like about to be long-winded, but like besides generally, just like growing up, I always used to think like, bro, that's them. Like I never look at it as I'm the most religious person, so I couldn't equate it to that. And I was just like, I believe everyone should be treated how you want yourself to be treated. Like I don't care if you're like your creed, whatever you believe. Once you don't hurt no one, what is the point? Like they just live in their lives, they exist, so that don't matter. Now I can say again, I have been affected by such a like toxic like mentality all my life. So certain ideas come in my head or certain mentalities. Like I remember something that like I wouldn't say it hurt me, right? But I remember I can say the person, but like this person in a way like I looked up to as like an idol. I look at him as like this is a man who I'd like to grow up to be. Eventually I learned he was like homosexual. Like that's the reason like he wasn't with his wife anymore. And I was just like, at the time that did hurt me. Like I can't have this guy as my idol no more. Then like as I get older, I was like, why did I think that? Why did I just believe because like me and him don't have the same sexual preference. I can't look up to this gentleman. Like I can't respect what he did, like in this community. He was like a very good person, like business wise, all the stuff he used to do. And I was just like, one thing I remember a time, like I say, like I could see situations where I've been uncomfortable around gay people because like just how I was raised. Like I remember one time I used to work at a gas station. It was like late night shifts. This dude came to like I come to pump his gas. He was just talking to me like, "Hey, what's up?" I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And he just like, asking me questions. I was like, why does dude just keep asking me questions, like getting to know me? He said, bro, if you don't mind, I can get your number. I was like, in my head I was like, I like my job. I don't need to say nothing to this gentleman. I don't feel the need to say nothing to him. I was like, no, bro, that's cool. You sure? I was like, yes. I sure. And coming over here didn't change nothing to me. I was just like, see, like this is how I feel like people should be in general over here. Like people minding their business, doing what they do, and you deciding to attack them for it. To me, like this is the exact same thing as when like racism, like literally black people just exist, and you was like, nah,
we don't like y'all.
We don't like them. Let's just punish them. Like,
I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not gonna say it like because growing up around a certain environment, you can't help but be a product of your environment.
Yes.
So of course, before I came here, I wasn't saying that I was going around like bashing gay people or whatever, but I definitely had the the side eye when it came to gay people because that's what it was back in my country. When I came here though, and I saw that shit was like not okay, then it actually like got me to open my eyes and be like, what reason do we have for judging these people for liking or loving who they love the same way that we love it and we like who we love? So like I'm not gonna be fake and be like this how I was the whole time, because back home I was taught to hate gay people. That's how it is in the Caribbean. You ain't supposed to be laying up with nobody of the same sex or whatever like that. Back home it's more of a, where I'm from, the Bahamas, it's more of on a Christianity aspect because we want to play like we so holier than thou. But
Now also bear in mind, right, that it's not just you alone who was taught that. They was also taught to hate gay people. Right? And so they internalized that, right? And so with that, now it just becomes this thing of like, this gay person hated himself and then want to hate this gay person hated himself and hate this gay person hated himself and just go around in a circle, right? And so that also is why you don't see gay people just out, right? And about down there.
It's up to us though, like it is up to us to unlearn that behavior. So now that I'm out of back home, like I'm out of that environment, I can now, with kids, if I ever have kids, like I can now teach them. I hope our generation is the generation to, you don't think so?
I think so.
I really and honestly believe like, we are the change, but then I see some like people that I went to school with and the type of shit that they post online, and I'm like, yo, this is not right. And these are persons that have moved abroad as well, and that are also the Caribbean, but they still have this mindset. And it's like people that I survive with that mindset. Now people I hang out with today still have this mindset. Like honestly, I don't know why I still have them as friends, but
that's the clean up.
You need to reevaluate.
But that's the thing. Like it is up to us to like unlearn the behavior. But you have some people that still want to be like stuck in that mindset, and then they also try to make sure that everyone is still in that mindset. So like I said, I'm friends with this guy on like Facebook, and I have him on Instagram and blah 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 blah, and like he's like one of these very masculine type of guys, big buff and whatever, always in the gym, and then he posts out the stupidest shit ever that has you sitting down there thinking like, wow, and you have a university education.
He hates himself.
Is you okay? I don't know if it's getting a little bit off topic, but like that's another thing back home as well. Like if you are a man and you actually hate gays, like do you think that's them like on the down low?